Welcome back to class. Today we'll continue from where we stopped. In our last class, we discussed the various parts of a financial model, and we started from the front section, and the front section includes the cover page, executive summary, assumption, scenarios. Today we want to talk about the engine. The engine is the second section of the financial model, and it includes the calculations and the financial statement. Let's see, where did we stop? Where did we stop? All right. I'm sure I asked you to go back to your workbook and populate the assumptions tab. I believe you all did that. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to, with what we've done so far, we want to work on the revenue. We want to build a revenue model. We want to do a revenue calculation that we will link to our financial statements. So, but before we do that, let's see. Remember, we said that the scenarios is an extension of our assumption. Please, if you have any question along the line, just let me know because you've worked on this and I'm sure you have some questions in your mind. So I told us that the scenarios is an extension of the assumption, and we've built the price scenario. And you all know how we came about this price scenario, right, from the case study. So let's go back to our case study. So from our case study, we talked about sales, and how we came about the various scenarios is based on our sorry, we put factors or variables that we can hardly predict, that we would have difficulty predicting in our scenarios, right? For example, here we said that this is a cyclical industry and the sales prices are expected to average $800 in 2017 and so on and so forth. Right. So, and we said that freight and warehousing costs are expected to increase at inflation, Look at this word expected and this word expected. So it means that we are not certain. So we need to put them under our scenarios so that we can, make various scenarios, at least 3 scenarios for them. And so we have done the scenarios for the prices, sales prices. We will do one for the inflation, for the cost inflation. Then we'll do what else? Okay, so we'll have the company expects sales volumes. So we'll do another one for sales volumes. So in real life, when you are working on your model, you can make at least 3 scenarios, right? 3 to 5, 7, but you are not expected to make like 10, 20 scenarios, right? So let's do this. Let's build this scenarios tab. Let's finish up with the scenarios tab before we now go back to our sales or revenue calculations. So let's go back to this. So I'm going to divide this screen into two. Let's see how it works. Let me know if you can see my 2 screens. Can you see my 2 screens?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So how we came about this? Oh gosh. I want to review this. Don't know if you saw it in my last video. In our last class, I told us that I'm going to show us different ways in which we can come about this live case, different formulas or functions we can use to arrive at this. So what we have used here is the choose function, right? It is very, very, very simple. We use a very simple choose function, a very simple function. But let me show us other functions that we can use to arrive. Can somebody guess what other functions you think we can use to do the same thing we did here? Now let's go over it again. For your choose function, when you are using your choose function, first of all, you have you have a switch cell here, and you know how we came about this particular combo box, right? So what we are going to do is, remember we've named this switch as scenario switch. We've named that particular cell as scenario switch, and we went ahead and used the choose. Say we choose index number, right? I can either select this here and lock it, but you can see that that cell has already been named, so it makes life easier for us. So what I now select is the value 1, value 2, and value 3. I want this to be the first value. I want this to be the second value, and I want this to be the third value. Remember, the order of those values depends on what will show on my live case scenario when I change this my switch buttons, right? So you can see I've changed it to 2. You can see my live case changing. If I change that number to 3, you can see it's now showing me this last option, the worst case, right? So the easiest way to go about it is to use this combo box, because we don't want our clients to tamper with this figure. So we just take this combo box and cover it up here, right? You can work on this to make it look more beautiful, but we'll come back to that. I just want to be sure you understand what we're doing here. So another function we can use is the if function. Now, go with me. Let's see how we can use the if function to achieve the same thing. Then you tell me which one looks easier. Let's say we use our if equals to if, or we can use our ifs, right? So if you are using if, that's the nested if, right? We can say if if what we have here, if this cell here is equals to 1, right? It should give us what? It should give us base case, right? It should give us base case, or it should give us this base case here. Is that okay? If that cell there, which is called the scenario switch, again, is equals to 2, it should give us this number here. Then if that switch, oh, so sorry, you can see that at every point, if you are using nested if, sorry, let's go over that again. If, right, if the cell called scenario switch equals to 1, it should give us the base case number here. Then if it is equals to, if the scenario switch equals to 2, it should give us this number here. Then if that scenario switch is equals to 3, then it should give us this number here. Let's close it. How many brackets? 2 and 3. Let's enter. So let's see. Does it work for us? We drag to the right and press Ctrl R. Let's see. Let me move this in again. Now let's change it to 1. You can see it's working for us, right? So you can see why we need to put our combo box here, because we don't want anybody, our client or any user, to go and be tampering with those figures. So another formula we can use is the choose function. We've seen how to use the choose function. Let's see how we can use the offsets. The offsets will ask you for a reference cell. That is a reference cell. So we can just choose, let's say, this cell here as a reference cell. Let me drag this over here. Let me drag it down. Can choose a reference cell here, and the offset will ask us. It will ask us how many rows should I move. I want it to just move the number of rows it moves. I want it to just be the scenario switch, any number of the scenario switch, right? Then it asks me how many columns should I move. I don't want it to move any columns, right? So I'm going to press enter, and you can see it works for us. So if we change this, you can see it's changing for us, it's changing. So another formula we can also use is the index. We can use the index. Index asks me for the array. Array is the group of cells I'm choosing those numbers from. Array, this is my array, right? Then it asks me row number. I want my row number to be my scenario switch, that particular cell there. You can see column number is optional, so I'll just close it and press enter. And you can see it works. Although the offsets and the index formulas can be used for more complex, more complex automation. But this is just a very simple application of the index and offset functions. So if you use any of these, they are very, very much acceptable. But the one you might not want to use is the nested if, because it's very complex. You can see it looks very complex, right? You can see my formula bar here. Right, so let's go back. Let's use our escape. Let's use our choose function again. Equals to choose. Do you have a question? We want to choose our index number. What's our index number? That's our scenario switch. Right. So your task will be to actually understand how to use these formulas and not just to memorize them. Right. So this is value 2, and this is the third value. So we are going to copy to the right, and that's good for us. So we have just seen other options on how to run the live case scenario. So the next thing we'll do is to go ahead and build the other scenarios apart from the sales or the sales price scenario. So this is our sales price. Remember, this is our sales price scenario from our case study. So what's other scenarios can we run from this case study? Let's see. Okay, so we've done this. Let's see. Freight and warehousing costs are expected to increase at inflation. We are going to use any valid website, any reliable website that can, forecast inflation. We are going to use their forecast. So let's assume that the inflation, we already know the inflation. We've done our research and we already know the inflation. So we are going to do this. Let's put this here and call it, let's say, inflation scenario. Inflation scenario. Do you understand? So we are going to just go just like this one, replicate what we have there, right? So what I'm going to do is just to come here and just I'm just going to put this here, Control D. I want to replicate what we have there. Mhm. So let's say, for example, that the inflation for the base case is like 2%, 2% all through the years, right? Let's say inflation is 2%. Okay, let me make it 4%, right? 4%, 4%. Oh, I'm not supposed to do this. Let's make these cells. Let's make them percentage. I'm going to use Alt 4 percentage. At the same time, I want them to be an input. Alt 4 again. Let's make it an input, right? So you can see it's in form of percentage. So I want it to be percentage 4% all through the years, right? So what I'm going to do here now is bolding this. I'll come here. I want to put a note here. I want the best case to be, of course, inflation, base case 4%, best case, I want to minus it. Let's minus it by 1%, right? Let's say we want to make it minus 1%. That's to arrive at 3%. So what we are going to do is equals to this. minus 1%. If you're following me, so I'm going to copy to the right. I want to do Alt 4 to use percentage formula or percentage cell style. For this other one here, the worst case, I want to make it +1. Right? I want to make it +1 of the base case. Right? So what I'm going to do is equals to this here plus 1%. For the worst case, we'll say the base case plus 1%. We drag to the right, press Ctrl R and use our percentage style, right? So you can observe we are not going to use the input style because we have already done some calculations inside. Do you understand? So what we'll do is just to make it make it aligned. What's this called? What's this called? Just make it to have a border, outside border. Right, that's what we've just done. The shortcut is use Control Shift 7. So now the same way we did the live case, we saw for the live case, that's what we're going to do here. We're going to put our live case here. So we'll just do this, put a tick outside border, and just go ahead and use our switch choose function. Our choose function here. What is our index number? We use the scenario switch. Remember, we have named that cell to be scenario switch. Then we'll choose here, comma, we choose the second one, comma, we choose the third one. Now you can copy what you have up there and paste it in order to save time. All right, so just press Ctrl R. Oh gosh, okay, that's fine. Let me see. Oh, what did I just do? Ctrl Z. So we'll do Alt 4 to change it to percentage, right? Can bolden it, and that's fine. Control. Yeah. Do this again. Awesome. So this is our live case for inflation. Now let's copy this. Let's see if it will look faster. Control C, Control V. Let's leave 2 lines. Control V. Now you can see it's showing us inflation. Now what's the next thing? Let's go back to our case study. It says that the company expects sales volumes to grow at 5% in 2017 and 4% every year thereafter. So what we are going to do is to do a scenario for sales volume. Now let's go right ahead and do this. Sales volume scenario. Sales volume scenario. Right. Oh God, this thing is not replicating quite okay. So what we're going to do here is to make this our live case. We're going to make this our live case, right? We just come here and Control D, Control B. Don't want this. So for sales volume, remember for the sales volume, it's in volume, not in percentage. So we are going to, okay, we're coming back to this. It's not in percentage. So for the base case, what is our base case? The sales volume is expected to grow at 5%. Sales volume growth 5%. Growth in sales volume growth, sales volume growth, sales volume growth. Or let's just say, okay, the company sells, right? Volume growth. Let's target volume growth scenarios. Okay, it's actually in percentage. So the first year, that's in 2017, it grows at 5% and 4% thereafter. So this one should be 5%, right? And 4% thereafter. Let me know if you're following. So for best case, now if sales volume grows at 5% in base case, right? That means in best case, it should grow higher, right? Let me know if you
Yes,
if you follow.
yes, like maybe 7%.
Okay, so let's just do like a plus. Let's say plus two, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say plus two. Okay. I'm going with your own assumption. So if it's worst case, it should grow lesser. Let's say minus
Mm-hmm.
2%.
3%.
Okay. Let
Minus
me know
2.
if Oyin agrees to. So let's go ahead and implement it here. So let's do a plus two here. A plus 2%, plus 2%, and here a minus 2%. Okay, so let's see. Mm, So we've done it for this. Let's control R, drag to the left and control R. I don't want this. I don't want this no border, then outside border. Let me save my time. Let me do it this way. Control Shift 7 makes life easier. Control Shift 7. Okay, that's fine. So what we're going to do is let's see if this formula is still active. Is it active? Choose, right? So if we change that, if we change this, now what you can do is just what we can do is to fix, we can just fix this row here. We can do Alt W F F to freeze that row. You can see. Did you get that?
Mm-mm.
You didn't get that. So what I did was
Mm.
to make sure that when I'm scrolling, this row here does not move, right?
Okay.
So instead of going to view tab here and come here to um, Windows here, freeze pane, and do this freeze pane here. Let me unfreeze it. You can see if I unfreeze it, it just moves. So,
Mm.
but instead of going from view, freeze pane, I just use my Alt. You can see it shows me all the shortcut I can use. So for my Windows, for my view, it's showing W. So if I press W, it shows me all the options. I come here, freeze
Take
pane.
this.
I press F and F again. Right, it freezes that row. Yeah, if I had put, okay, I'll press it again. I'll press it again, Alt W F F to unfreeze it. So you can as well freeze. You can as well freeze rows and columns at the same time. So if I don't want this particular column to move when I'm moving, I can put this in my active cell here. I can put my active cell here. You can see it is below this row I
I'm
want
putting that.
to
I'm
keep
putting
constant, and it is after the column I want to keep constant. I want to keep this row consistent or constant without moving, and I want to keep this column constant. You can see, then I'll put my active cell here. So when I do my Alt W F F, you can see. Then if I move here, that column remains constant or just freezes. So that's how to freeze pin. All right, so I've put too many rows here. I'm going to remove that. Let me see what else. Okay, that's fine. So I believe you got this. So why did I freeze that? Why did I freeze that? Because I want to be able to still have access to this. I want to change it to best case and see if it moves. You can see it changes from 7% to 6%. Then worst case, 3, 2%, and the rest just like that. So now, at the beginning, I told you that this scenarios tab is an extension of the assumptions tab. So what we are going to do is look at these assumptions, revenue assumptions we have made here. Now we are going to modify it. We are going to update it because we want everything that has to do with scenarios to be linked to the scenarios tab. So the scenarios tab will be the source of every assumption that has to do with scenarios, right? So what we are going to do is we've said that for our revenue is this per unit. The freight cost was this. per unit, and this is our net revenue. And we said that the sales price, the sales price is expected to be this, but then we have built a scenario tab and we have this sales price here. Remember this. So we'll go right ahead and link it to this. We'll link this sales price to our scenarios tab. So what we are going to do is say equals to this. So we are not going to link it to the base case or best case or the worst case. Guess which one we are going to link it to. Can you guess?
When is here, but I just joined back. It was when I joined, I had where we link it to
No, no.
any other thing.
Okay, so I said that we have built this scenarios tab, right? So every assumption that has to do with the scenario, that has to do with maybe the expected price, the expected volume, we are going to link them to this scenarios tab. So I went to these assumptions here, and you know that we are told that we are told that this is a cyclical industry and the sales price are expected to be this $800 in 2017, 725 in 2018, and so on and so forth. And we
Yes.
replicated those numbers here. Right. But then, since it's an expectation, we are not sure. That was why we went ahead and built it in our scenarios tab here, right, as the base case. You can see it's an input, it's showing input. So now that we know that things can actually change and, we might not be able to sell at that price. We can have a best case where we will sell a higher price, just like this. Do you understand? And we can have a worst case where we'll sell at a lower price over the years, right? Instead of just typing this number here, 800 as our sales price, we can just go
Yes.
here and come to the scenarios tab and link it to this here. So what are we linking it to? Are we linking it to the best case, base case, or the worst case? Oh, yeah, that would be for you to answer. Why do you think we built the life case?
Maybe to be able to like show the, how will I put it? Like to show the case that we are on at the moment. And no, not that. Okay, yes, to show the case we are on at the moment.
We are running at the moment. Okay. So Faith, if that's the case, Faith, what then should we link the assumption to? Is it the best case, worst case, or life case?
What did you say?
So
Your
what are
voice
we
was cracking,
linking?
sorry.
What are we linking the assumption to? Are we linking it to base case, best case, or worst case, or life case?
Yeah, I said the base,
Or
the life case.
do you think are you changing your options now? Why are you taking life case right now? Mhm.
I didn't know life case was in the options though before. I thought it was just base case, best case, and worst case.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So why are you choosing life case?
It should be in the life case because it's under forecast. So it's what we are currently working with. So it's like life. What is life? What is
It's
obtainable and
alive.
everything.
That
Yes, it's
sounds funny.
alive.
Oh, yeah, I'm listening to you. What do you think? Why do you think we should link it to the life case
To get the reality of things.
to get the reality of things?
To show the
Is the way you doubt your answer. Hmm? Is it that you are doubting your answers or what? Okay, let me take it again. Remember how we built this assumptions tab? We built the assumptions tab just by
Mhm.
replicating all the numbers here, all the information we have in our case study, in our case scenario, in the assumptions tab. And we are told that in 2017, so let me control Z to make it turn it back to what it was. In 2017, our prices, our sales price should be $800 per unit, right? Our sales price should be 800. So let's say dollar per unit, right? Is dollar per unit, $800 per unit, right? So I'm going to do this again. Control V. $800 per unit. $725 per unit in 2018, and so on and so forth. Then when we went to build the scenario tab, we still use that same price, but we put it under our base case. We recognize the fact that, okay, this is our projection for the next 5 years. But then we said, because we want to build different scenarios, that we cannot predict this thing in total accuracy. We want to build the best case when this price will be, better, that's at a higher price. We can sell at a higher price. I want to build the worst case when we can sell at a lower price than what we forecasted or what we expected. Right. So, and I'm telling you that because we have built a scenarios tab, we need to come here and modify this tab here, this our assumptions tab, and make it reflect what we have here. Then I asked you, what are we going to link this thing to? Right. So we are going to link it to the life case. Why are we linking it to the life case? Because this life case will show us the scenario we are currently running. Right. It means that if if you are currently running the base case, right, it will show us 800. You come to your assumption, it will show us 800. If you are running the best case, you can see 900 to show us 900 here, right? So that whatever we are running, whatever scenario we are running will be reflected on our model, will be reflected on the whole model, because it is from this assumptions tab that we build every other tab, like the calculation, we do our calculation and ultimately build our model. Do you understand that now?
Mhm.
Say it with confidence. Do you understand it?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound convincing though. So because we link this,
Yes.
okay,
Like
okay,
you're
go ahead,
trying to
paraphrase.
talk about the linking of the assumption tab, how is like at the base and the foundation of every other tab, the scenario tab, the calculation tab of the financial model.
So remember that the scenarios tab is an extension of the assumptions tab. So they must be
Yeah.
saying the same thing, right?
Mm. Mm.
So I'm going to change this because it has been linked, right? It's no longer an input. It has been linked. I'm going to change this cell style to link cell style. Remember this link cell style here?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's change it to normal first. Change it to normal. Where's our normal? Normal,
Mm.
are you normal? Let's change it now to what linked, right? Yeah, so it looks
Mm-hmm.
this way now. So you know it is linked, right? So look at this one. The next thing we want to change. Remember this one, we were told that, look at this line here. Freights
Mm.
and warehousing costs are expected to increase at inflation.
Mm.
So freights and warehousing costs. Remember this freight and warehousing costs that we are given here. Remember
Mm.
this. Where is it now? In 2016, net revenue was this per unit. That is gross revenue of 694.44 per unit, less freight and warehousing cost of this 100. And we are told that
$100
freight and warehousing costs are expected to increase at inflation.
inflation.
Right. So what we are going to do is we are going to increase this freight and warehousing at inflation. So what I'm going to do is enter, just create more space, right? So let's do the we are told I highlighted it so we can come back to this. Let me unfill it. No fill. So increase in freight and warehousing, right? I'm going to say increase in freight and warehousing costs in freight and warehousing, right? And warehousing, I'm going to shorten it, costs. That's percentage, right? Percentage increase, right? So that increase, remember we are told is going to increase by inflation. Is that correct? So we are going to go to our scenarios and go to that inflation. So what are we linking it to? Is it the base case, best case, or worst case?
At inflation,
Yeah.
it should be worst case. Worst case, or is life case among the options?
I'm laughing at you. So whatever, anytime you are linking to this scenarios tab, it's always life case.
Okay.
It's always life case. That is why you built the life case, right? It's always life case. Don't forget that.
Okay. Fine.
That is why you built the
Okay.
life case. So I'm going to do
Where's that
Alt
done?
4. Yeah, so I'm going to use Alt 4 again to show that it was linked, right? So that is lovely. Remember that we want to build our revenue. So we have just finished building this scenarios tab and we've completed the revenue assumptions. So let's go right ahead and build our revenue calculation. Let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to come here. I'm going to come here. mm, Control C, Control V. Let me put it here. Control V. I want to build revenue calculation. Revenue calculation. Right. I want to use that cell style. Now remember when you are computing your revenue, what is the simple formula of revenue? Can you tell me? Now this is an interactive class. Let me hear you talk. I want to be sure you are with me. Oyin, what is the formula for finding revenue? What is the formula for calculating revenue?
Uh, the unit of our sales, like sales price per unit, then we'll multiply it by the quantity of goods that were sold.
Yeah, that's correct. Price times quantity, right? Price times quantity. That's the that's the formula for revenue. Price times quantity. So we are going to get the prices. Let's go to that case study and know what is our price. Let's say price calculation, right? Let's say what is our pricing? Control B, Control U. What's our pricing? So from our case study, we can see that in 2016, net revenue was this 594 per unit, right? So that is gross revenue of this. So let's reflect that. Mm. So what is our gross sales price or gross sales price? That's in 2016, right? Remember, 2016 is the last historical year. So this is what happened already. We want to use it to, trace it to what's going to happen in the future. So we are going to put that amount or that's price per unit. That's price per unit. Let's say dollar per unit. Dollar per unit. So let's come here. What's the amount again? If you are open,
6944. Yeah.
that's correct, right?
Yes.
So what else happened in that 2016? Let's see. We have sales. We have less freight and warehousing cost. So let's put sales freight, sorry.
Freight and warehousing.
Freight and warehousing, right?
Mm.
Warehousing.
$100.
Okay. Costs. That's same dollar per unit, right? Which is
$100.
$100. Yeah. Then what else? We have the nets, right?
Mm.
Net sales price. Yeah. Let's say net sales price. Net sales price still same dollar per unit, which is equals to this minus this, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. So we are just going to bold in this part here. Bold in this. We can put this like this. Yeah. So there's this shortcut I use. We can just still bold in this, right? I do Alt HBP to just put a top border here. It helps you when you are working with time, when you are trying to beat time to memorize all those shortcuts or HPP. Right. So what we are going to do is remember that our sales, our prices are going to grow. We are told that freight and warehousing costs are expected to increase at inflation. Right. It's expected to increase at inflation. What else? We are also told that what else is going to increase at inflation? Okay. So this freight and warehousing is going to increase at inflation. So what we are going to do is let's just put a row here, right? And put that inflation, let's say cost inflation. So what I'm going to do is just come here and say cost inflation. Let me just cost inflation. Because this freight, we want to forecast this freight is going to increase at inflation. Remember, this here is the forecast here. So we are going to link it to the inflation, which is in our scenarios here, or you come to the assumption because we already said it here that it's going to increase at inflation, right? So look at it here. You select it here. Can you see it? Just drag it to the right. Use Alt 4 to put your percentage style and use Alt 4 again to put linked because you have linked it, right? So what we are trying to do is that this thing here, this freight and warehousing cost is going to increase at this inflation. Remember our preliminary classes where if you want to increase this number here by this inflation here, can you guide me on how to go about it? Equals to this, right? Remember that our historical cost of freight and warehousing is $100 per unit. So how do we increment it? Say this 100 equals to how? Tell me, guide me, guide me, guide me. Don't let me go faster than you. Is that correct? 1 plus this, right? Is that correct? Is that correct? Let me know. Is that correct?
Yeah,
So
I think it
yeah, we
is.
drag it to the right. So you can see our freight and warehousing cost in 2017 is $103, right? It has increased by 3%. You can see. Additionally, the following year, it's increased by 3% again. It's incrementing. So that's how we go about it. So how do we get our gross revenue? So we are coming back to that. We are coming back to that. So our net revenue is simply this, the gross revenue minus freight, right? To get the net revenue. So we can drag to the right, Control R. We are coming back to that. You can see it's still negative. So next thing we do is we don't know what our sales price will be the following year. Let's see in our scenarios. What do we have? Sales price. Oh, yeah, we have it. We actually have it. We actually have it. Can't you see we have it, right? Let's go to our base case scenario. Look at our case study here. We were told that in 2016, net revenue was this and this, blah, blah, blah. This is a cyclical industry and the sales prices are expected to average this. Right, so we have forecasted price from 2017 to 2021. Is that okay? So since we have this forecasted already, so what we are going to do is come to our calculation and do what? Link it. We'll link it to our scenario. Is that okay? Let's see our assumptions. Okay, we can link into our assumptions because we already have it here. Can you see it? Remember, we linked this one from our scenarios tab. So let's go right ahead and link it to our assumptions. Did you get that? Should I repeat that? I'm waiting for your response.
Yes, please.
Did you get that?
I
Yes.
don't can repeat.
Okay, let me repeat that. So now look at our calculations tab. Whatever we are calculating is gotten from our assumptions tab. Is gotten from our assumptions tab. Remember, our assumptions tab has been populated from the information we've been given from our case study, right? So look at this. We are calculating our sales, our revenue. Revenue is the same thing as sales, right? So under these assumptions, this is our revenue assumption, right? So these are the information we are using to calculate our revenue calculation. So we have our gross revenue for 2016. These are historical figures. Then we have
Mm.
assumption, we have expected sales price for the coming years. And these are the years we are trying to forecast. Right. So basically the company management must have given us this price that they expect sales price to be this in 2017, this and this and this, in the coming years. So since they've given us the price, why not go and use it to calculate? Right. So in our calculation, this is the first forecast year. Right. So what we'll do is just go and pick that price that we have in our assumptions. This, right? So because we linked it, what we'll do is to use the link cell style, right? To
Mm.
use the link cell style alt 4. It shows that it's actually linked. It wasn't calculated, it was linked, right? So look at it. It's now making sense. Our gross sales price is this. Our freight cost is this. So our net sales price is, you can see, the gross sales price minus the freight and warehousing cost, cost the net sales price. Now remember, what is the sales and warehousing cost? This is just like the initial cost you have. Let's say you are selling, what are we selling? Um, the manufacturer storage tanks. So their first costs, even before, even as they are making their sales, is this freight and warehousing cost, right? So that is how we come about our net sales price. Remember, this is our price. Remember, our sales calculation is price times quantity. Do you still remember? So our quantity is same thing as volume. So let's calculate our volumes. So what we'll do is sales volumes. Let's compute our sales volume. Let me know if you are following.
Yep.
So remember that we have our volume. Let's see our assumption. What is in our assumption? We have, for you to know our volume, first of all, we have capacity. Capacity is the maximum amount this company can either produce or their warehousing can contain, right? So the warehousing capacity or the factory capacity is 420,000 units. 420,000 units. So let's go ahead and replicate it in our calculation. So we have the annual capacity. Look at how it was stated in our case study. We are told that Bright's factory has a capacity of 420,000 units per year. So that's an annual capacity each year. So let's say annual capacity. So that's units per year. That's let's say 1,000 units per year. Let's reduce it to 1,000 units per year. One, two, three. Per year, right? Per year. So all this, I'm going to use a cell style called that explanatory cell style, right? All right. So this is 1,000 units per year. So what is the capacity of this factory per year? 420,000, right? Remember. So, but we are not going to type it. We are going to link it to the assumption. We already have it here, right? 420,000 per unit. What is going on? Control R. I might not, yeah, don't be embarrassed. I might not feature it in the recording. Okay. So where is my Excel file? All right, this was where we stopped. Alt HOI. Okay, so we are cooking something here yesterday. We are really cooking. Let him cook. Okay. So since we have this here, let's come back here to these assumptions. Remember this brother here. Can you remember this line here?
Mm. Mm.
Unit of measurements, and we can name this as 1,000, right? And just come here and name that cell as 1,000. So I can always reference it easily. 1,000. I'll enter. So it's an input. I'll do Alt 4 and make it have an input cell style. Can you see that? Sorry.
Mm.
Okay, yeah, so I'll make it have an input cell style. Right. So I want to use it here. I want us to use it in our calculation. Remember, this company's or this factory's annual capacity is 420,000. They can only produce 420,000 units per year, as stated in our case study. Do you remember this? Here
Mm.
it is. Here it is. Here it is. So since our unit of measurement here is 1,000, we would like to reduce this by 1,000, right? So we'll just do this divided by 1,000. We start typing, and once you see it, you press tab. You press enter. You can see, right? Control R. Now remember, we linked it. We linked this thing from the, where did we link it from? Assumptions, right?
Mm.
Let me be sure you can see my screen. So we linked it from the assumption. So what do we do? Make sure it's having the link cell style, linked cell style Alt 4, and make it a link cell style. We are making it beautiful as we go. The next thing we are going to do is now somebody else might arrive at this by saying, okay, now look at what we are going to do. One thing about financial model is as you are building it, you want to link your assumptions, bring the assumption you are using to the calculation sheet so that it will be clear to everybody what you are actually doing and the methods you use in arriving at your calculation, right? I might as well, you know, for example, what I have here, right, or what I have here, for example, if I had not linked this, it wouldn't be very clear for you, to you, how I arrived at this figure here. What if I had, what if I had done, okay, if I want to calculate net sales, what if I had done it this way? I would just say equals to, just go to the assumptions here and say, where's my sales assumption? Sorry, net selling price. This is my selling price, right? Minus,
Mm.
you can say I've put minus, look at my formula, but minus, let's say, um, I say, remember that the freight and warehousing cost is 100 plus 4% of 100, right? That is, let's say this, right, times, I open bracket again, how to say, 1 plus, you can see it's becoming complex, right?
Yeah.
It's becoming complex. So you don't do financial model that way. You just link. So there are some mantras you have to take note of. Uh, Okay, I would have liked to type here or make a note here, but let me come to our note here. So there are some mantras you take note of while building your what are we building? We are building our engine. Let's say the engine. And
That's the
under this
calculation.
engine, we are doing, yeah, calculation and what else? The financial statement,
Model.
right? The
Yeah.
model itself, right? It comes under the engine, right? So there are some mantras you take note of while you are building, or let's say some phrases you use while you are building use in financial model, or while you are building your, let's say, calculation, while you are building your financial model. So you use things like, you hear things like, link and repeats, link and repeats, or repeat and link. So it's just what we've done here. Let me go back to it. Let me go up here. Look at this. Before, just imagine that calculation I was doing here, how long and confusing it was. Some people build their financial models that way. They just go ahead and calculate and confuse the users of the model. But immediately you want to calculate your gross you know your gross revenue or gross sales price has been given in your assumption, right? What you do is just go and link it there and bring it to the calculation, right? The cost inflation also has been given in your assumption, right? Just go and link it. Anything you want to use from the assumption, link it to the calculation so that it will be very visible what you're doing, the steps you're using to build your model, right? So imagine we want to calculate freight, the freight cost. You can see we are getting it directly from this cost inflation that we have linked from the assumption. Very direct, very direct. So the next thing we want to do now is to get our sales volume. Sales volume. And remember that we are told that this company's annual capacity is 420,000 per year. And you know how we came about this. We got it from the assumption. Now let's go back to our assumption again. What were we told about the sales volume? About the sales volume. We know this already. The sales volume growth rate is 5% per year, depending on the scenario we are working on, right? We are in our base case. So we're told that the sales volume is 5% in 2017 and 4% thereafter. So let's replicate that. We'll just remember we are going to repeat and link, right? So we'll just say growth in sales volume, right? Growth in sales volume. Is that correct? Growth is always in percentage,
Okay.
right? So
Mm.
let's just go and link it. What is our assumptions? Sales volume growth rate. Let's drag it to the right. Let's make it a link cell style. If you are supposed to write this in exam, you go as fast as possible. Right. So also make it percentage cell style. And see. So what we are going to do is we want to arrive at our sales volume. Right. So what will then be our sales volume? Sales volume. Volume. Let's see. We want to arrive at this. I'm going to do Alt HBP. I'm going to do Control B to make it bold. So our sales volume will be then, remember, what is our sales? We can't just get it here just like this. Now, we were not given were we given the sales volume for the previous year? Can see we were not given. Were we
Mm-mm.
given?
Mm.
It
No.
wasn't given in our assumption. So sometimes you might not know the sales volume for the previous year, so as to arrive at the sales volume for the future or
Correct
forecasted
it.
years.
Mm.
So what we are going to do is we are going to go to our historical figures here. Now you can see for these historical figures, we are told the gross revenue, right?
Mm.
For 2016, which was the last historical year. We are told the historical revenue. Now remember this formula again. Remember this formula again. That's revenue. What is revenue? Revenue equals to what?
Cost, price,
Price times quantity, right?
price, quantity, yes.
Price times quantity. That means if you, now in this case, we know our revenue. We know our
Mm.
revenue, right? We know our
Mm.
revenue. Look at our revenue here. The gross revenue is this. The net revenue is this. All right. We know our price. We've been given price, right? But we don't know our quantity. Do you know the price? We know our price, right? Can you
Mm.
see? Net
Net,
revenue was
net
this.
revenue.
This was our net
Mm.
revenue. Gross revenue, sorry. This was our gross revenue per unit.
Mm.
Per unit, right? So those are our, let's see, those are our prices. Gross revenue. So here's our calculation. So those are our prices, right? You know, when you are giving revenue per unit, it means that's the price now, the price per unit. Is that correct?
Mm.
You are not sounding convinced. That's the price per unit, right? When you are
Yes.
giving something revenue per unit, that's the price per unit. So if, for example, if you are selling a piece of land and the price of that and the revenue you get from maybe you are selling the land per acre, the revenue from 1 acre is 2.5 million, let's assume. What is the price of that 1 acre? It's 2.5, right? So if you sell 10 acres, that's 2.5 times 10. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. So the price per unit here is this, right? So we know the price, and at the end of the year, they sold this. Remember, this is in million. You can see. I know the price is looking small in your eyes. It's in millions actually. Do you understand? So let's
Yeah.
let's go. Let's come here. We'll just take this template and come here again. Can put it here, Control V. So we can say sales or revenue. And just call this revenue. Right. So for us to get this revenue, we'll first of all go and link what was our gross revenue. We can just Sorry, we can just link it. What was our gross revenue? Our gross revenue has been given. So since we have that of 2016, let's just link it from our historical financials. This was our gross revenue of 2016. Is that true? Right. What was our freight and warehousing? Freight and warehousing. Freight and warehousing. We'll just either we'll do Control D or we'll go and link. It's the same thing. Control D means you are copying down, right? If you do Control left square brace, you'll be able to see where that is linked to. Do you understand? Press F5 and go back to where you're coming from. So this is our revenue, gross revenue, and our freights and warehousing cost. So if we drag this to this, can do Alt H B P, then I can bolden it, then I do this. The net revenue is this minus this, right? This is the net revenue here. Hmm. So did you get it up to this point? This is just a linkage. From our, we just linked this from our historical figures. Do you get this? So we are going to use the link cell style. We linked it from the historical. Is that okay? So because we have our gross revenue here and we have our gross sales price here. Are you still with me?
Yes, so
Okay. So because we have our gross revenue here and we have our gross sales price here, so what we are going to do is, so we didn't link this. Didn't we link this? We are supposed to link this now. Did we type it? Abba, we must have linked it from our assumptions now. Tochku. Why? Uh-huh. Also link this. Now what? Faith, you saw me do this and you did not say anything. Hmm? So you saw me typing this thing and you did not say anything. Oh, Diego. Alt 4. This one too was linked. Right. Right. So for us to get this, we want to get our sales. So our sales volume for 2016, yeah, our sales volume for 2016 will be Remember, we have our revenue here, right? And we have our price. So how do we go about it? How do we go about it? Look at this. So we are
Mm.
looking for quantity, right? So
Mm.
if we don't have a Q, what do we do? Change of subject formula, right? Quantity will be what?
Yeah. Q equals to revenue minus
Ah,
price. No, not minus.
oh,
Divided by price. Divided by price.
ito.
My head is full. Oh.
Yeah.
You don't use and cook for kitchen. Okay, so this sales volume, right? This sales volume here will be in thousands per unit, right? Thousands per unit. In thousand units, right? Thousands per unit. So I'm going to show you two ways in which we can arrive at that. We can as well say the gross revenue divided by the gross sales price, right? If you get it this way, you can multiply it by 1 million because the revenue is in millions. Do you understand? Times million. One, two, three, one, two, three. Right. But you don't want to leave it this way. You don't want to leave it this way because we want it to be in thousands. So you can go ahead and divide it by thousands, right? Thousand, we already have thousand measurements here, right? You can see this is a long process. Did you get this? Hello, Face.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm trying to switch device. They just brought our light back. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but we don't want to do it that way. That's quite a long process. What we are going to do is we'll just make it easier for ourselves. Just say this gross revenue, we are going to multiply it by 1,000, right? Divided by the gross sales price. And we arrive at this. So this is our sales volume. This is our sales volume for 2016. 2016. This is our sales volume for 2016. Now look at this. What we now do is to grow our sales volume by 5% and 4% subsequently. Right, so let's grow this. Can you teach me how to grow this? Can you teach me how to grow it? Do you still remember how to grow this? Right, so now look at this. If we grow this, can you tell me what you observed? Can you tell me what you observed?
There's an increment,
Mhm.
even though there's an increment in the sales volume, even though the percentage is actually lower for the previous years.
Okay, so now that your observation, just compare it. Repeat that observation with respect to the annual capacity of this factory.
Exactly. The annual capacity is the same, but
Right.
the sales volume is higher.
It's higher, like
Mm.
throughout the years.
Yeah. Throughout the years. It keeps increasing throughout the years. It's incremental.
Okay, so look at the observation here. You can see that now the effect of having the of knowing the annual capacity is because you want to be realistic. This factory can only produce 420,000 units per year.
Mm.
So if they are producing this quantity here or this volume, that means they are still producing within that capacity, right? The
Mm.
following year, they still have the capacity of 420,000 and then they are producing 376.1 thousand units. That's still within their capacity, right? Now, but look at the fifth
Yeah.
year. What can you say about the fifth year? It's- Oh. Said our network is fluctuating. Okay. So we've been able to arrive at our sales volume. Did you see how we arrived at this sales volume?
Mm.
Okay, let me go over it again. Because we have our revenue for 2016, which is the historical year, the last historical financial statement, and we have our gross sales price. Remember, this our volume is in 1,000 units. So that's why we are going to say equals to this times 1,000 divided by the gross sales price. So we get this. And now since we have that, we increment it by the gross, by the growth in sales volume, right? Now what I was explaining before now was how our projection or our forecast is now greater than our capacity. Look at this company produces nothing more than 420,000 units per year. And now you are telling us, you the financial modeler, you are telling us that we are going to, our sales volume in year 5 would be 423,000. Is it possible?
No, without like you mean when you're doing projection, right?
Yeah. So let's take for example, mm, let's take for example, you work for a manufacturing company. Let's say you people produce can you give me example of what people can produce?
Exercise books.
Okay. Let's say you have a printing machine that can only print 420,000 exercise books per year. And in
Mm.
your financial model, you are telling us that, oh gosh, shit. Let's say, for example, you work for a company that prints exercise books and your machines can only print 420,000 exercise books per year. And you are the financial modeler or the analyst, and you are making a forecast or you are building a model, and you are telling us that at a certain year, we are going to print 423,000 exercise books. Is it possible? So look at this. So we've been working on this and we've not, so basically when you have something like this, just hide all this, press, select the remaining, right? The remaining cells and
Mm.
press Control 0 to hide all this so that it will be easy for you to just move. So if you want to unhide it, of course, you can see, you can just right click here and you unhide, you can see, yeah. So I'll just select this, hold down Control Shift, right arrow key, press Control 0. Just hide this so that it will be easy for us to move about. So we've gotten this. So since we have this, what we are going to do is we are going to put or implement a constraint, right? I said we are going to implement a constraint. Now we can see this formula here. We can wrap it. Let's see. Let's see how we can work around this. We can make it to, we can always limit this our sales volume to this 420. We will make it not to be more than the 420,000. Do you know how we can achieve that?
I am okay. No, I don't know.
Okay, so one way we can achieve that is we can say if, right, we can use our if function and say if this if this formula here or if this figure here is greater than is greater than is greater than this, right? You
Mm.
should you should okay, if this number here if this number here is greater than this, right? Give us this. Else, give us this. Let's see if it works. Control R. Now look at this. We can say if this number here, if 420 is greater than this sales volume you've calculated here, give us this sales volume you've calculated here, else give us 420. Right. But we don't want to write separately. Another way we can go about it is say what is the minimum? We just want the minimum. We can use the min or max. We want the minimum between this and this. So which
The
formula do you
minimum
think is,
value.
yeah,
Okay, the minimum amount.
Yeah, between this capacity and this calculated sales volume. Which formula do you think is easier?
The volume
Which formula do you think is easier?
is the minimum, but
But what?
is the minimum, yes.
But what?
But I'm worried at the accuracy of the minimum.
Because you've not used
It's
it
not,
before, you're not familiar with it, right?
yes,
Can't you
like
see it's giving us the
skip,
same value? It's giving us the same results.
yes, it is.
Mm, okay. So look at it. We can just come here and say we can include it in this formula here. Minimum, right? Minimum between this calculated value and this one here. So it will help us not to have any number beyond 420. So in this case now, when we had 423, it's giving us 420. Do you think it's easy? Do you think you understand it?
It's not
Remember,
complicated.
it's a bit complicated.
Mm,
Ah, God. Okay, look at what we did. Remember how we got this without the minimum and wherever.
mm,
Remember how we got this, right?
yeah.
So how did we get this? We just projected from the former year, right? We just say we grew it by the percentage. Finish. Is that okay? Now, but
Mm,
when we got to the year 5, you can see that our sales volume is now greater than the capacity of our factory, which is wrong, very wrong, right? Very, very wrong. So just, going to just do something. Control C. I'm going to paste special here. Control Alt V, enter. I just put this in here for comparison. So now look at, we can use if function to make sure that the value does not exceed beyond our capacity, right? But one thing about
mm,
if function is it might confuse you. It might be longer than necessary, right? So we
mm,
can say if this one is less than this one, this capacity, then give us this one here again. Give us this one. Else, give us the capacity.
okay.
But then I know why we are writing that. It's even confusing. If functions can be confusing sometimes or longer than necessary, right? But then what if you use minimum, right? What is the minimum between this?
Minimum is straightforward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very straightforward. Between this and this. We just want the minimum. Finish. Right. It gives us this control R. You can see it gives us the same thing
Mm,
without saying if this is greater than this, give us this, else give us that. So we are going to implement it in this formula. Just wrap it around the minimum, right? Just wrap the minimum around the formula you already have. Minimum,
mm,
right? Minimum of this whole calculation here is just pointing to this 361 we already have within the cell, right? Minimum of that and
mm.
this 420 here. You close it and that's all. That's how you put two formulas together. You can see we have achieved the same thing. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
So you can see from here we've gotten our sales net sales price. Remember, revenue is just price times quantity, right? So since
Mm.
we've gotten our price here and we've gotten our quantity here, Control B, this is our quantity. Sorry. So the next thing is just to go ahead and calculate our revenue. Is that true? So how do we calculate
Mm.
our revenue?
The gross sales price times the quantity.
Yeah, the gross sales price times the quantity. What quantity are you using? This sales volume down here, right?
Sales volume, yeah.
So when you look at this, what do you do to make it the same measurement with this? Remember, this should be in thousands, right? Thousands per unit
Mm.
or
You
thousand
divide it by
dollars.
1,000.
Yeah,
You divide it by 1,000.
yeah. So I'm going to do this $1,000. Yeah. Don't worry, when we come back, we'll embellish this one the more. So we are going to divide this by 1,000. Uh-uh. So you do the same thing. You just Control R. Is that
Control
okay?
R.
Yeah. So for this freight and warehousing
Yeah.
costs, do we need to calculate it again? We have already
No.
calculated it up here, right? Can you see it here?
Yes.
Oh, this is the
Yes.
costs. This is the costs. This is the
But
costs.
it's also saying cost down here.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, oh, all right, all right. So let's do this. When we divide this, that's the oh, sorry, that's the price, right? So for this equals
Mm.
to this, the freight and warehousing costs times
Mm.
the volume too, right? Is that
Okay.
okay? Divided by 1,000
Mm.
again. Ah, my neighbors are distracting me, man.
Mm.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
So did you
that's
get
okay.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
But
So
my I have a problem with this column name. That's the freight and warehousing cost that is under revenue. Is it
yeah,
supposed to be freight and warehousing?
yeah, it is actually. It is actually. Do you know it's different? Control D. So this one is per unit, right? This one is per
Yeah, this
unit.
one is a thousand.
This one is in thousands, right?
Mm.
So you need to multiply it by the quantity to get this. This is the actual cost.
Mm.
This one is the per unit cost. The one up here is the per unit cost, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes. So this is what differentiates them actually. This is what differentiates them. Just make sure you keep tabs of your unit of measurement out for. That's the explanatory test. So how do we get this net revenue? It's just by saying equals to this
Net sales price
minus
times.
this. Awesome, awesome. So you can see this is not like the projection we did the other time where you just drag it by just the percentage growth, right? So this
Mm.
is it. So once you have done this, you are good to go. You can now link it to your main financial model. Now, when we come back in the
Mm.
next class, we are going to populate this. Thank you for coming to
Okay.
class.
Thank you for
Go and
teaching
replicate this.
today.
Go and replicate this in your own, right?
All
Oh,
right.
yeah, now take care.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Yeah, good night.